right, good afternoon. Welcome to the February 12th meeting of the City of Muskegon's Planning Commission. A roll call, please.
Commissioner Gillette-Leroy,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
De La Garza, Seifert,
Here.
Gallran,
Here.
Keener, Mazaid, Blake,
Here.
and Simmons.
Thank you for that. The first item will be approval of the minutes from January 15th, 2026. Do I have any amendments or changes to the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented. Second.
Wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed say no. Hearing none, minutes are approved. All right, and now we have two public hearings on the agenda today. The first being case 2026-02, request to amend section 2321 of the zoning ordinance to allow wireless communication service facilities, cell towers, as a special use permitted at a specific location at 1800 Peck Street, also known as Marsh Field, by vertical bridge. Staff report, please.
Yes, so wireless communications support facilities are allowed as a special use permit in 8 areas throughout the city in an overlay district. A few years ago, I believe it was 2019, we approved a location at the water filtration plant. We have a tower there now and a pole, and also at Marsh Field in about the same location where this is being proposed. However, the company that would like to apply for the special use permit needs a little bit larger of an area than it was approved before. So you can see the difference of those two surveys that we have received. Basically the same location, and if this is approved, they would be able to apply for a special use permit in that larger area. If it was denied, they could still apply for one, but it would be in that smaller area. This larger area, and we can let the applicant talk, he is here, explain a little bit better detail, but it needs to be a little bit larger so that it can have co-location, which is actually a requirement of our special use permit. We did hold a informational meeting last night from 4:30 to 6:30 here in the chambers. We believe we only had 2 people show up. One of them was the groundskeeper of the baseball field. Both people were on board with it and didn't have any concerns.
Thank
And
you.
we did notice everybody within 300 feet, although that's not usually required for an ordinance amendment. This does have a specific location in mind, so we decided to do that. And we invited them to the informational meeting as well.
Okay, thank you for that. And I do understand the applicants here as well. If you have anything you'd like to share with us at the podium.
Yes, my name is
Introduce yourself.
Jason Riggs with Kimley Horn. Yeah, so basically, we're looking to amend the zoning ordinance overlay district number 5, Marshfield. The area that was there was originally a 20-foot by 40-foot, which would only accommodate a tower and 1 carrier. So to get it in compliance with the co-location requirement also in your ordinance as well as Michigan law, we're looking to expand that area to allow for future co-location as well. That's the intent there in amending the ordinance.
Okay. Do any commissioners have questions for the applicant at this time? Seeing none, go ahead.
I'm not quite clear exactly where. I mean, I see the map. I see zone number. I'm not quite clear exactly where relative to the.
If you look a couple pages down, we superimposed it over an aerial. So it's at the corner of Holbrook and Dry Rock.
But where?
Can you move the tower?
Yeah, where's the tower
Where will
going to
the
be?
tower be
Yeah.
located
The
on
tower
this
would
map?
be right here on the other side.
So
Can you
towards
zoom?
the field, between the field and the walking path.
Yes.
Okay. But will those trees need to be removed, or you can navigate around the trees there?
So one of the trees may have to come down. I mean, ultimately, we would have a landscape. So if you're looking at the kind of outer perimeter, it almost looks like a U shape, right? So that 10-foot area would be for either existing landscaping or additional landscaping. That would be the intent. The actual area for the tower facility would be 40 by 40.
So to clarify, there are 2 trees in this space, and you're saying one may need to be removed?
Correct. But if, and again, this is only if, we get to the point where we go and, or proposing the new tower, and get to that point, we'd have a landscape plan where we would add much more and additional landscaping around the whole facility.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Oh, sorry, not for the applicant.
Okay.
And the tower would be replacing the existing stadium light.
You would be replacing the existing stadium light? is what
Correct,
it's
that the tower would ultimately replace that pole and the new light, or the lighting would be replaced. And that's the intent of that area and probably why it was chosen by the city.
The light would be placed elsewhere, or that tower would have both the light and you'd have additional fixtures or space capacity
Yeah.
for cellular.
Yeah, the tower would be taller than what the existing pole is.
Okay.
And who currently has the responsibility for maintaining those lights? Do they have access?
The Clippers.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for the applicant at this time? Seeing none, this is a public hearing, so I would open it to the floor. If anybody would like to speak on this item in the audience, you may come forward now. Seeing none, we'll open it to the phones. The number is 231-724-6721, specifically regarding this public hearing. You may call now. Seeing none, I would take a motion to close the public hearing.
So
moved. Support.
take your
Moved and
pick.
supported to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. All right, and then any additional discussion from commissioners?
Well, I'm going to start with the motion, and then you can.
Go with the motion.
I move the request to amend section 2321 of the zoning ordinance to allow wireless communication service facilities as a special use permitted at the location identified in the survey be recommended to the city commission for approval.
Second.
Supported. Any
And I'll
discussion?
Yield to Mr. Manager.
So just to clarify, Mike, this is to amend the ordinance. This isn't the actual special use permit.
Correct. So this will be a recommendation to the city commission. This will go to the February 24th meeting where they will ultimately vote on approving or denying that. If it's approved, it'll give the applicant a chance to apply for the special use permit, which will come back just to the planning commission.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was clear for the folks watching at home. Thank you.
Same question.
Yeah.
For clarification, but to piggyback on that, then when if this does get adopted by the city commission, and the applicant comes back seeking a permit, that's when we could. When we talk about landscaping, that's where we could have conditions
Yes.
as part of the special.
And we'd
land
go
use
over
permit.
the special use permit conditions and all of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Good.
That was
Seeing none. Okay. There is a motion on the floor to approve item A. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Blake,
Yes.
Gowron,
yes.
Seifert,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
and Willett Leroy.
Yes. Motion approved. All right, public hearing B, case 2026-03, request to amend the zoning ordinance to define veterinary clinic and to allow them in several zoning districts, B2, B4, FBCMS, FBCNE, FBCNC, FBCMSW, LFBC-LC, and LFBCHC. Planning.
Thank you. So we have been working with the Glen Park Animal Hospital, who's located on Sherman. They are looking at a new facility. They proposed one at the end of last year, and we had noted that it actually wasn't allowed in Lakeside. They found another location in Lakeside that they're interested in, but again, it's not allowed. Staff looked into it a little more, and instead of having them apply to amend the ordinance, we decided that our ordinance may be a little outdated when it comes to vets. Currently, they're allowed as a use by right in B2. I'm sorry, as a special use permitted in B2 and a use by right in B4. However, they're not allowed in our form-based codes, and there's a lot more form-based code districts now. So we believe it's a fairly compatible use. The one distinction we did want to make is the building types and how those approvals could look. We think if you're in a retail type building and you don't have any, shared walls or anything, that seems pretty standard for a veterinarian. If you're in a mixed use building, it's probably good to hold a public hearing. We had the Cat Cafe hearing a few months ago, and that's worked out great. But there were some people with some concerns, so I think we did a good job of working it out at the special use permit and put some conditions on there. So I do think it should be, people should be notified if it's in a shared type of building. So you can see the type of buildings that we requested. In these certain context areas, whether it's a mixed use building requiring special use permits, S indicates special use, P indicates permitted by right. So you can see how we change those. Also, we don't even have a definition for the veterinary clinic, so we decided to add that as well. You can see noted in the staff report. And the way the ordinance currently works, it talks about animal or veterinarians with or without commercial kennels. So different cities write theirs differently. Ours focuses more on, are you going to have overnight stays or possibly outdoor animals? And we allow that in our industrial districts, which we don't have any, but it seems like a fairly good spot if you're going to have outdoor kenneling. Our definitions, it was left out of the proposed definition as from the veterinary clinics, but to note that they will not have commercial kennels in these unless it would be in the I-2. So we have the definition for kennel, and it says more than 3 dogs or 4 cats. So as long as an animal hospital did not have more than that overnight, and that's pretty uncommon. I had a lengthy conversation with Glen Park just to get more familiar with veterinary clinics, and they don't do any overnight lodging, but I think it would be reasonable to expect that some vets may have to have a single animal overnight, but that's not the same as a commercial kennel where they're holding numerous ones, for a day or a week. So that distinction has been made in this ordinance.
Okay, thank you for that thorough report. We are the applicant, so we don't have an applicant, but we do have this as a public hearing. So I will allow anybody in the audience who has input on this item to come forward at this time. Seeing none, we can open the phones. 231-724-6721. Nothing coming in. Okay, motion to close the public hearing. Would take one of those.
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. All right, so public hearing is closed. I would take a motion on this item.
I move that the amendments to the veterinary clinics be recommended to the City Commission for approval as proposed.
Support?
All right, moved and supported on item B. Any further discussion from the commissioners?
I was going to say this makes sense to me. We have dog grooming in different areas that have similar context codes, and it as a pet parent who likes to walk places, it would be nice to be able to walk to a vet. So I think that this makes sense to me.
As part of this, do we need to also adopt in that definition, or is that part of this entire motion?
It's part of the entire motion.
Okay.
We're including defining a veterinary
okay.
Clinic. As
But I
part
also
of
wanted
this.
to add, I appreciate you doing a little bit of the hair splitting there with the kennels and saying this is not what we're talking about, and coming up with what I think are reasonable limitations, but also acknowledging that there might be a pup or a kit overnight for whatever reason.
I would say my concerns have been met. One would just be, as a neighbor. So again, we would have a public hearing. If there was a shared use on the property. And then also, I have had to have a cat overnight somewhere, so that certainly seems like something a clinic might choose to do. And so everything I would think of has been addressed at this point. Okay, been motioned and seconded. I would take a roll call, please.
Commissioners Willett Leroy,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Seifert,
Yes.
Gawron,
Yes.
and Blake.
Yes. All right, motion passes. We now have unfinished business. Anyone have unfinished business today? Seeing none. New business. Looks like we have 2026-04, request to amend the planning unit development at Hartshorn Village, 0 Boardwalk Cove Drive, parcel 24-427-000-0000-00 by Hartshorn Village. Staff report, please.
Yeah, so staff is recommending that this be considered a minor amendment to the PUD. The Planning Commission has the ability to decide whether it's minor or major. Minor can be adopted today, or if it was a major, it would require a public hearing, so they would need to come back and we would do the public notification requirements. However, this is a pretty small amendment to the site plan of the PUD. It's asking to add 2 more single-family houses where it was just a little bit extra land up in the northwest corner of the residential part of the development. That would also include moving the walking path, eliminating one of the walking paths to the bike path, and realigning the other one, and also to change the topography of the development. About half as much of the fill as initially proposed will be brought in, and it's really a realignment of some of the houses, so I can let the representative for the development here explain that a little bit further. They also had, so it's two more single family units they were proposing to for a total of 22. They actually had an idea for a 23rd unit. Try to pull that up. Go down. If you see where the drive is that goes north-south, and there's like a little island, if you see where my mouse is here, they proposed a 23rd unit there, but it's much smaller of a parcel, and I'm not sure the housing types that are approved as part of the PUD would necessarily fit in there, so I wanted to see a little more information, and the developer sounded like they weren't exactly sure how that would work or if it would be a shed or a house, but I said it should probably be a little more thought out before being brought here. However, the Planning Commission does have the purview to also say a house could be placed here if we wanted to do that, or we could ask that more information be brought at a later date.
Can we zoom in on this slightly?
Yeah. It's right there.
Okay, so can you just walk back a little bit more through, we're looking at adding 2 additional units.
Yes, that would be units 21 and 22 right here. And just south of that, in between the drives, they had an idea for a 23rd, but as you can see, it's not nearly as large as the other lots.
And you also mentioned a change in grade. I know that nearby we've had some flooding issues, so how do you anticipate this might?
I'd probably ask the applicant to address that.
And then a change to the path as well?
Yes, the path. Try to show you how it currently looks.
It was on.
I'm not seeing it. No, that's the bike path. There should be a path. Oh, it might not be the right page.
Were you talking the bike path, or were you talking
No, there's a walking path.
walking path? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to look at each item that we're
Okay.
adjusting here
Yeah.
in context.
So here is what it was initially approved as. You can see there's a path to the left of number 20 and to the right of number 15. Everybody see those?
Okay.
And if we go to the proposed plan, we see one has been eliminated on the left where the houses will be. And the other one will be pushed a little more to the east. I think we're on the right page. This right here, in between 16 and 17.
Do we currently have sidewalk included along the roads in this development?
Not on the road. It's a fairly,
It's more like a shared drive.
yeah, it's more of a shared
Yeah.
drive than a traditional subdivision neighborhood or something like of that nature.
I think from my understanding, the intent was that the bike path and the sidewalks on the lake side were kind of the sidewalks for the neighborhood, and then that was a shared driveway in the back.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand how the residents would access those nearby amenities, right? Like,
yeah.
would they need to then go out into their driveway and then walk all the way around, or was there an opportunity for them to engage? Okay. All right, so we're looking at doing this as simply a yay or nay versus a public hearing. So I would take a motion. We said we have the applicant here as well?
Yes.
The applicant want to come forward, we'll do that first.
Good afternoon, Justin Longstreth with Moore and Brugink Engineers representing the applicant. I'm the engineer that put the PUD plans together that are in front of you today. In general, I think it is a pretty minor request. There is some great desire to have some additional lots. The market is supporting some additional lots on that side. So that's where we've looked at shifting some of those around to create a few extra. The road configuration or the private drive configuration and everything towards for condos is really the same as what was in the original PUD, so we're only talking about the lots that front on the marina itself. We've added two more and shifted the walking path around like what was discussed. As far as the grading is concerned, when you look at the grading that was proposed in the original PUD or even the PUD amendment that was approved in 2024, it really created a pretty flat plateau across all of those lots with a pretty steep drop off where we're showing lot 22. What we're trying to do is work more with the existing contours where you may have a couple of lots that are at one elevation, then it drops down and kind of steps its way north, which is a little bit closer in alignment with the existing grading that's on site. By doing that, it allowed us to effectively cut the required fill in half from what was originally needing to be brought on site. So a lot less material to be brought on. Grading still works. Roads, utilities, they all work with the new grading plan, but that was the impetus behind that.
Do we, as of yet, have any elevations of this intended?
We do have approved elevations. They had already been approved. They weren't asking to change any. There's a few different housing types, and they range from 1 story to all the way up to 3 stories.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Hey, Justin, lot number 22, would its driveway be off of the shared road with Forcanos?
It would be a similar situation to, if you pan down a little bit, lot 11 also
Okay.
would be in that same configuration. I should also point out, we've had multiple conversations with the city's engineer on stormwater, and we're quite a ways down the path with those discussions as well. I know that's not really what we're talking about today, but just for informational purposes.
Understood.
And then maybe what I'll also talk to, because staff had mentioned it was lot 23, that area is very similar in the last version of the PUD. It was just kind of a leftover, and one of the things that the applicant was just theorizing is there something that we could do there other than open ground? In talking with staff, we're not far enough along in any sort of development of what that might be, and so we really want to kind of take that off the table right now. It is an odd-shaped lot and kind of leftover, so we don't want to force anything there.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sorry.
You're fine.
And kind of get back to the chair's question from earlier, Justin, the grade changes, and there is some wet areas just to the west of that. Are you guys concerned about that at all? Or are you above where that might get wet? Because it does, if you just cross that road there along the bike trail, there's an area that gets swampy.
Emergent wetland.
Yeah, it's an emergent wetland, so just want to make sure that you guys are conscious of that.
Yeah, as part of the drainage plan for this, I think we have an opportunity with our grading to direct some of that runoff to the structures, the storm structures that we're building as part of this phase of the development. So I think we can help direct some of that to where we want to go as opposed to just pushing it to the west.
Okay.
Is there an assessment of the total amount of non-porous surface now that we've increased the properties?
That would be part of the stormwater calculation, right?
It would be part of the stormwater. They're going to have to amend their plan.
So that will need to be approved in order for us
Yes.
to move forward.
Yes, it does. But from a planning standpoint, it's two more developments that are going to be probably less porous or less concrete than open space. So it shouldn't be too difficult to treat the stormwater with as much green space as the lots are providing.
Anything on this side? Commissioner Garin, do you have anything?
Nope.
Good, okay.
And also,
I have a question. Does the addition of the two additional lots, does that add to the timeline or is it the same?
It will remain the same. I think from a timeline perspective, construction pending an approval and making sure that we meet all of the stormwater requirements from the city engineer, I think construction wants to start on this pretty soon. As soon as weather breaks, which hopefully is sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
For real.
okay.
That's all for me.
Do you have one last?
How many lots have been built or are under construction presently at this site?
In phase two, none. I'm not sure in phase one. Last I was out there, it's
There's
maybe three or four.
There's 3 up and 1 going up now.
And there's another one, I think, with foundation they put down there now. So
That
there
one
should be
is
5. Okay, so 3 fully built, 1's underway, and there's not a 5th one that's.
I don't think so. The third one
Okay.
I think is being finished, and the
Okay.
4th one's being laid.
Okay.
Yeah, the one closest to the road is the one-story newest.
And so you intimated earlier, though, that this, where 21, 22 could be going, is more attractive, more appealing. So you have someone essentially lined up to construct there then versus elsewhere, because we're talking about 22, expanding to 22, and we're like 4 in. So we're just scratching the surface of the number of units contemplated here.
The applicant has had interest in lots along that stretch. I'm not sure which of those lots specifically. I can't say for sure today if it was 21 or 2, if that was part of it, or if it was somewhere between 16 and, say, 20. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know he has had interest in lots in that stretch.
Okay. And what's the dimensions for what's contemplated from lot 22?
Oh, the dimensions.
While he's looking for that, is this, we would have determined this previously, but is this going to be an HOA, this entire development going to be an HOA or individual?
I believe so.
I don't have the dimensions. We'd have to measure it.
He does have that, the building envelope.
We're talking about 22.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so you mentioned earlier in terms of building design, though, that there are some that could be 3 stories. So ostensibly a 3-story building
Yes.
house could be built at what we're considering potentially lot 22. How does it interplay with the Consumers Energy easement that runs right through that?
Is that on this schematic in any way?
Yeah, it's that right there.
The
I see.
dotted line.
Yeah, it's right next to the driveway.
They're gonna have to, I assume, stay a certain amount of distance away from that.
So they wouldn't be able to build
Is
within
that
that
possible
easement?
within the, that's the question, is that possible within that?
Would, I guess even if we approved it, if they were allowed to do it, they would still have to meet all the requirements of any setbacks from easements, including DTE consumers, whoever it is. So we're saying from a zoning perspective, it's okay, but all the other factors would have to come into play too.
So I'll just say that I'm okay with 21. I'm okay with the change to the walkway. I'm a little uneasy about 22. So I'm not settled on 22 personally.
Have you, while you're up here, have you contemplated the distance from this easement? Do you intend to build in that space?
We can't build in that space, but we can also work with consumers to relocate that easement if necessary. And so, without knowing exactly what building footprint might be elected to go in that space, it's a little difficult for me to answer if we would need to move it or not. That lot is large enough to support the footprint for the approved buildings. It may just require some coordination with consumers to move or adjust easement lines.
Okay, so it sounds to me that they would need to move that easement potentially in order to build what they intend to build there. Which, some of your concern, the view shed or, yeah.
Well, also the interplay with the easement, if it's going to require easement to be relocated, if it has to stay, it just sounds like it might not be buildable. But yeah, I was wondering when speaking about the prospect of a 3-story building going right there, it would diminish the view shed looking down the driveway, and we're already losing more and more of our view sheds, and our master plan does call for preserving and expanding view sheds where possible.
I'm supportive. We're talking about 2 lots. And this seems to be a very minor amendment, especially when you look at the 2 different iterations of what had been proposed. It's certainly a less dense proposal than when we had approved condo buildings, mini high rises, if you would. So it in my mind, it's very minimal. And I think it was last week I saw or heard or was told 4 additional lots were closed on within the development.
That's pretty good.
Thank you for that. Again, so we're looking at from a public perspective as they would enter this overall property. There's basically a triangle that comes to a close there, and building in that end corner would affect the view, I think, quite considerably. Just for me, entering the space and entering a public park space, obviously it's not city property, but there would be an impact to the way that it's viewed as you come down that road.
So I guess, and I would counter, yes, I do think it would impact view, but the view there is of a corner of the marina and over towards the Boys and Girls Club. It's not a view shed of the lake. The view shed of the lake wouldn't really be impacted. You're looking into but I mean,
That's directly
The
right
easement
at
helps,
Muskegon Lake.
right?
Yeah, I think,
yeah.
and I think the idea is that the easement is really
Yeah.
kind of gives us that
Sure.
that additional view shed. So I think that's where we're stuck.
But also, it's not the entrance to the park. The entrance to the park is down Adelaide Boulevard. That's an exit from the park.
Well, not an entrance by vehicle.
Yeah, not
It's
yeah.
a pedestrian
Yeah, sure.
easement.
Sure.
There's a requirement there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the bike trail where a lot of people experience is on the other side, so it wouldn't impact that. I would agree with Commissioner Gowron that it's a minor amendment in the overall footprint of the project. So,
If I may add one thing too, and I do appreciate the consideration of view shed, but I think we'd have there's a lot less elimination of a potential view shed to this than past iteration with a block building or two. And you're not going to have a rectangle taking up a quarter block. Potential one or two structures.
I guess the question becomes, what impediment are we requiring by not including 22? That would, eliminate the potential for a unit to be built there. But it does sound like in order to build there, you would need to likely adjust the consumer's easement
What
in
would
order
be
to
the
accomplish that.
implications of moving the consumer's easement for the newbies here? Is that a cost to the city?
no, that's all on consumers.
So as you can see, we're showing on the screen here, coming down this road, you have power lines on the right, so consumers has an easement there. The sideline benefit to that easement is that nothing is built there, so we can see through it.
Get down the road.
Yeah, you can actually go down the road a little bit
Yeah,
more, so we can
I'm
see
down
it.
the road right now.
And that's why I was trying to get that
Yeah.
idea.
Yep, let's follow that truck.
Let's just see if we can go a little farther.
Yeah, you can get all the way. It goes all the way through.
And so I just for the public's
You can
sake,
get
I would
down
add
there.
that, we consider a marina to be, a commercial enterprise, but it is really considered a type of park to many folks, and many folks do enjoy the view of a marina as compared to other land uses.
Sure.
So that makes sense.
Can you
I would-
back it up a little bit? Yeah, and then, too far.
Marina view is
Right
going to
there.
be a sellable asset
Mhm.
versus
Yeah.
other things, for sure.
But just saying, when you're still coming up the road, you'll still have everything in front of you and to the left with the view of the lake, where that house would be, to the right of that tree, from a viewpoint. So there is some there, but you'd still have a good.
What alternative easement do you anticipate might be suggested?
What was that?
What alternative easement have you contemplated if you needed to request one?
From consumers, you mean? I think what it would entail is probably a relocation if necessary. So you still would have an easement, but it would just shift over to allow for the footprint of the house.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I'll just, I guess, reiterate that I would support this with just the 21 and with the sidewalk path being changed. With regard to 22 and 23, since 23 is not before us, it's may or may not be buildable. That's an open question. It also has an easement going directly through it. I see 22 is in a similar vein. Maybe it's not quite as complicated as 23, but it's fairly close to similar. Maybe not the topography, but size, and also an easement running right through it. Consumers energy easement running right through it. So I guess my proposal would be have 22 and 23 come back. If that's something that they wanted to do in the future, come back with that. I mean, I will support 21 and the sidewalk path, not 22 at this time. That's my view.
Random question, Mike. Is it possible that if we were to approve 22, even though the elevations allow for a 3-story, could we say that one couldn't be more than a 1-story?
Sure, you could put a condition on that.
Is that?
I'm not so sure, just the idea,
Yeah.
concept here, I'm not so sure it's the height.
Okay.
Because- And you build anything, you block the view.
Yeah.
It's not so much the height, it's just the idea, and we've talked about this in the past, that the view of everyone contributes to the kind of sense and quality of life of people who live much farther away from the actual property. And so taking away that corner, once it's up, you're like, oh, it's there, and it definitely impacts it. I don't think the height
Yeah,
personally is
okay.
going to make a difference.
Can I ask a question? Oh, sorry.
What I would just put in there, I mean, they're asking for 2 two more sites. And so it's redrawn within the PUD minimally. But the ground existed beforehand. Even drawn this way, would that have precluded a structure on a portion of that dirt as it was anyway? In the last two PUDs. So are we throwing in an impediment, to the property owner on this?
Do we have the currently approved?
Because
plan?
we're only assuming, that this was always going to be
It's right there.
an empty piece of dirt. But
Yeah.
in
Well,
past iterations,
The current PUD is empty. There's a pathway going through, and it's empty,
Mhm.
open space.
Okay.
So you wouldn't be able to build a structure there without a amendment to the PUD.
okay.
So, doing math here, Justin, we all would have to vote to approve it by the number of people here. Would it be, to the mayor's point, it looks like we've got enough for the one. Would that be an acceptable path forward, and then taking a look at how those other two might come out in the future? Or is it all or nothing?
No, I mean, I'm not gonna stand up here for the applicant and say that we don't want any sort of approval on this. So I think if there is an opportunity that at some point in the future, we come back and have a specific discussion about 22, maybe with some renderings, I can see both sides, but I look at the Google Street View that had been pulled up, and there is a pretty considerable view shed still. Now, I understand from the commissioner's standpoint, it would block certainly some of the marina. But if we could come back maybe with some renderings or some elevation views overlaid, that might help show that a bit more. Maybe that's something that we can do. I think if you look at the PUD that was approved previously, I think there may have been even some grading that extended into that vacant spot that would have, I mean, maybe not, certainly not obscured a view as much as what a house would, but there was some things going on that site anyway. But if we could be open to additional conversations in the future, then I think that we would be open to that.
I appreciate that flexibility. I think that the folks on this board are trying to balance the idea of the future use of this space and how it's going to be very intermingled between, potential new residents, parkland, and different uses. And so I would agree that I'm happy on 20, 21 for now. And but if you have the opportunity to come back when it's more, potentially if it's more pressing, and we have more of a sense of what the future of the property is really going to look like, I would be happy to take it that way.
I think we might have a motion.
Okay?
I'll take it, and then tell me if I do it right, Mayor. I move to approve the amendment for the Hartshorn Village Plan Unit Development, adding Lot 21, as it is a minor amendment.
Support.
Okay, so motion and support on the floor. Any final discussion from the commission? Seeing none, I will take a roll call, please.
Commissioners Blake,
Yes.
Gowron,
Yes.
Seifert,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
and Willett Leroy.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get back to that agenda.
Thanks, Justin. See ya.
All right, just the full front agenda, please, page if you would. I think we're moving on to a few other items. Get up to my front page there. There we go. Okay, so now, under any other business, looks like we have election of officers. Planning wants to let us know how that.
So, Leah is currently our chairperson, and Destiny is our vice chair, and we need to do elections again. So we will take a recommendation from someone, a motion. Are you inclined to continue serving?
the role
I
as
am
chair?
available and interested if such nomination occurs.
I mean, I've served as well as chair, so
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see a over the compelling reason to make a change.
No.
You know. So I move to appoint Leah Willette Leroy to another term as chair of the planning commission.
Second?
Do you want to do both in the same motion or separately?
I'm happy to save time. That's
we
fine.
can do it together. I move to reappoint Leah Willette Leroy as chairperson and Destiny Keener, Vice Mayor Destiny Keener, as vice chairperson for the planning commission.
Okay, there's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, and I think we should do roll call on that one.
I second with love.
All right. Commissioners Willette Leroy,
Yes, and thank you.
Johnson,
Yes.
Seifert,
Yes.
Gawron,
Yes.
and Blake.
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Now we have Planning Commission representative on the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have an update there.
Yes, Jill Montgomery Keast was our representative from the Planning Commission on the ZBA, so now we need to have someone else. We don't need to elect anybody, I believe, but just want to see if there's any interest from anyone on the board.
Commissioner Garin, would you be interested in
That was going to be mine. as
serving
well.
on the zoning board of appeals?
Sure.
Okay, looks like we have some interest
We
to.
don't meet very often.
Did you state this is not an official appointment, just a recommendation?
We make a
or-
recommendation
Yeah.
to the CRC, who then makes a recommendation to the city commission, and the city commission makes the formal appointment.
Okay, we can do.
So I move to recommend the appointment of Steve Garin as the planning commission representative on the zoning board of appeals.
And that term is for how long?
Until someone.
Until someone.
Oh, it's indefinite. It's indefinite.
Until
Oh,
death
no,
do
there
us
actually
part.
is.
Oh no, I can't.
The city commission will take care of that
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
It's in our CRC packet, the expiration of the term. I don't know off the top of my head.
All right. sounds good.
Forever.
And then again, this is just a recommendation, so we will submit that to the committee. Roll call.
We have a second.
Second.
Oh, you beat me to it.
All right. Commissioners Blake,
Yes.
Gawron,
No. Yes.
Seifert,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
and Willette Leroy.
Yes. And thank you for continuing to be involved, folks. All right. Item C. Does anybody have any urgent business they need to get to this evening? If not, I would like to move into this item in some depth. Okay. So we don't have a full board today, but we do have a quorum. So I'd like to get talking about some of these goals. If necessary, we can extend this topic into our next meeting as well. Staff update, please.
Yep, we are requesting that we come up with a list of goals. It's one of the requirements as our status of a redevelopment ready communities. We did this last year. There's no set number of goals we need to focus on. Anything that anybody is heavily considering. I'm not sure if I listed it on here, but we've had some more discussions lately about, well, yeah, here. Rezoning certain business districts to form-based code. I think that would help many of the zoning districts in terms of redevelopment and walkability, parking, all of those issues. Also, there's been some discussions about allowing more residential in these business zones, and that's allowed through the form-based code. So, housing was a big issue for us last year, the past couple years, and as far as planning goes, we've approved just about every type of housing development allowable. So maybe now it's time to look at how we can incorporate more into our commercial districts, because we simply don't have the amount of residential lots available to meet our housing needs assessment. So the goals identified in that. So that could be definitely a good one. We do have some cleaning up of some ordinances. B1 and B2 are very similar. Staff has some ideas about how to consolidate some of those. B3 we don't even use anymore. That was our downtown, which is form-based code now. RT has pretty much been replaced by the R districts because now we allow for duplexes there. So there's some cleaning up of the ordinance. We could make it quite a bit smaller and more readable by eliminating those. Staff's working on some signage ordinance updates, but we can pretty much just present those to you. Landscaping improvements are always welcomed. One thing I would really like to see, and we already do this in our form-based code, but institute maximum lot widths in our districts, so people can't acquire several lots, maybe from the land bank or from their neighbors that are undeveloped. There's a few of them throughout the city where people have 6 to 8 lots and one house on them, so we'd like to be able to avoid that in the future. We had mentioned low impact design. That could go along with the master plan, especially in our natural habitats section.
See, there's a link to that. I don't know that I clicked on that previously.
Just some ideas they can show what can be done in parking lots. We talked about maybe some landscaping requirements as a buffer zone to the water. There's not a ton of developable land that's not already planned for along the waterfront, but as houses get replaced over the years along the waterfront, that could potentially be beneficial.
Good information to review here, to consider as we take it forward. Okay, there's one more item on your staff suggested list, I believe.
And the master plan also talks about identifying community needs as it pertains to PUDs. So there's a discussion on waterfront access, public access. Staff's actually working on proposing that again. We tabled that last year, around the middle of the year, and we were asked to kind of make some updates to that, so we're doing that now. But the plan also talks about what would be beneficial for each neighborhood if there is a planned unit development, whether that's a playground in a desperately needed area, waterfront access, community center.
And as a reminder, a PUD is, typically a benefit to a developer, so there is an opportunity to engage with the community and determine, how everyone can benefit from that.
Yeah.
So that's why we have that within the PUD process.
So it might be worthwhile taking a look at each neighborhood and trying to identify the needs of that. That might be a little bit more relevant for staff to go out into the neighborhoods and neighborhood associations and try to do that. So not sure if that's necessarily planning commission.
So for these 7 suggestions from staff, you mentioned that some of them are already, for example, sign ordinance update, you're already kind of move forward with some potential suggestions there. Otherwise, I think it would be helpful to understand maybe a timeline, like what are we considering as when we should address these items? Because then we have the actual goals that we're going to go through, and there's probably a lot of things we're going to want to talk about in specifics. But as far as these, is this something that we could come back about in a given amount of time? Like, could we look at sign ordinances next month, for example, or do you need more time?
I would say we would need a couple months notice on some things. Signage is probably further along than everything, so we wouldn't have it ready for March, but April we could.
Okay.
The deadline for the next meeting is already today, so.
And Brian will be back for the April meeting. He won't be here next week.
Okay. I only ask because as these are just the goals for the year, we're already kind of working our way through the first quarter. And then as folks start doing spring planning is when folks are going to come to us more with, ideas as well. So if we can have a sense of what a potential timeline could look at for these so they don't fall off the wayside, that would be good.
Well, I think maybe ranking them would help staff
Okay.
Be able to come up with a timeline better.
Personally, I would say that the the consolidating, the business district rezoning, the lot width, those are items that I think staff is regularly looking at, and so as soon as you're able to get those to us would be fine for review. As far as signage, landscaping requirements, impact design standards, and community needs, I think those require a little bit of thought and review of what the board is expecting compared to the master plan, and some potential, what are some resources we haven't looked at? What are some potential new opportunities to engage on those? So of those, do folks have something that is of priority to them that they would like us to review with staff or get public input on in the nearest future? Do you have a priority item on your
Yes.
end? Of these?
Oh, all of them. It may make not too much difference, but I think at least to have it in ink. You have task leaders in the columns. My recommendation would to take a clearer look at that and insert planning into a certain number of these places, because I think it's essential that an eye of planner is part of the consideration, and that's not a knock against engineers or anybody else, but planning is doing the work day in and day out with really parsing what it means to rebuild or restore neighborhoods, legacy business corridors, etc. And I think the input is essential, and I think the proof's in the pudding for the work that's been done out of planning. Going back to the mid 2000s and the implementation of new old planning concepts such as form-based code, and how can we better have street design, because sometimes when you throw out the term short blocks, well, I think it's essential that we're in there to really impress what the heck a short block is and how detrimental long blocks are, for any of us urbanists. But I was just
We're
looking
gonna
at
get
some.
we're gonna get into the details of all those other goals.
Right.
I mostly am asking the ones in front of us. So we have signage ordinance updates,
Right.
landscaping
And that's where I was
requirements.
getting, like goal 2, insert yourself more there. Planning.
We're gonna come back, trust me, in just a second here.
Goal
Mr.
7.
Chairman. Do you have any of these items that are, I think, of more priority than the other? If we were to come back on, say, April, and request that we revise them.
Pick one of these to come back to.
Yeah.
Real quick, just to piggyback on the comment though, with regard to long blocks, reopen Fifth Street. So, or connect Fifth Street across the way, since because we've got a super long block, and we talked about extending Fifth Street across Shoreline Drive. So that was somewhere in our goals or plans. So I don't know. I would like an update on that. I mean, that was from a time ago that we talked about wanting
We
to.
did
because,
have a drawing and everything, didn't we?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering where that might be at.
Okay, so we'll check our goals, and if not, we'll put it somewhere.
Add that to the list.
For the folks over here on my right, again, is there any of these that are of more priority to you that we can ask staff to come back to us about for April? Signage ordinance updates. Community as it pertains to PUDs. Low impact design and landscape requirements.
I'll defer to the rest of the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna request that we
Okay.
focus on landscape design
Okay.
requirements. I think that's come up regularly from community members as far as buffers, waterfront development, that we need to have a good conversation about what, if any, revisions we need to make. And then we can look at signage after that. That would be my next on the list of the ones I mentioned. The rest, I think you guys have a handle on what you're expecting us to look at, and you'll bring it to us when you get it ready. Sound good? Yeah. Okay.
That would be nice.
But you also gave us a list of the ongoing goals by item, and some of us have had the opportunity to review them in detail. So,
Mike knows I have a vendetta against the residential lot with minimums and maximums, so yeah. That's probably,
The maximum lots
yeah.
information is important to you. Okay. Can we take a look at the list of goals that you sent on the screen, starting with the E's? I think we've got E1.2 is where I started making some notes. Do you have anything before that? Let's see, goal 1. There we go. Okay, goal 1. Anybody have any comments or questions with E1.1?
I already did.
Say that again?
I said I already did.
Okay.
Insert ourselves in many places. as
Insert
possible.
ourselves, okay? Just be more involved in all
Well,
conversations from a
At
planning
least,
perspective.
at least planning staff,
Right.
to bring that perspective in. I think it's continually essential.
Okay.
It's about the built environment, and sometimes we're too siloed. Again, like I said, not to pick points on any other department, but
And DS's development
Well,
services.
yeah, just for clarification, planning is a part of development services. Sometimes I wrote planning just because it's the planning department going to be working on it. But if it's going to be the whole department or the whole division, this would be the development services division.
So E1.1, planning more at the forefront is the request. E1.2, I made a note regarding Brunswick, just a question of whether we have any momentum or thoughts on the Brunswick property and whether that's something we can keep our eyes on.
We do keep our eyes on it. We've been unsuccessful in getting Brunswick to talk with us about the site. I do want to stress that Brunswick Bowling Company here in Muskegon is not the Brunswick which owns the site.
They've been to a division of
No, they're not even.
They're
They're
separate
they're
companies.
completely separate legal entities. We do have a good communication with the local Brunswick. The Brunswick that owns the site across Laketon is radio silent.
I see.
So we do try periodically, both planning and public works, or sorry, I should say development services and public works tries to communicate with them, but we've had no success there.
A road trip's in order.
Yeah,
Show up in their office
Yeah.
and start.
I mean,
Yeah.
And so these are the kind of things I think that,
Yeah.
we're not going to spend all day on
Yep.
all of these, but I think it's just good to say, have we looked at this goal? Have we made any attempt? Where are we stuck? So we're stuck because we're not getting anybody to talk to us. So thank you for that. Okay, anybody, I have 2.1. A suggestion I had was just basically to kind of identify the features of pride in our neighborhoods. I think some of our neighborhoods, if they don't describe, like Marshfield, we know that that is based around the park and there's a lot of pride around the park itself. Some of our neighborhoods, I'm not sure that other neighborhoods could tell you what about that neighborhood makes it interesting and special. So I think there's some opportunity for us as a city to kind of build a little bit more engagement in that way so that we all understand the different parts of our cities and their kind of sense of personality and the sense of place. So I had that 2 cents about that one. Anybody else on E2.1? E2.2, I was curious about Getty Street, actions we've been taking there. on that
Yes, we've
corridor.
had several meetings with businesses along the corridor. We're trying to get them to form a formal association and also talking about bids and corridor improvement authorities so they could address improvements through tax increment financing or assessments. So I think we just had our 3rd meeting with them, and still a little too early to say whether we can get the cooperation we'll need to see that through.
Do you need any support from anybody else to help you do that? Now's the time to tell us.
One thing I forgot to link here is staff, we actually came up with a corridor improvement checklist, and one of the things I started noticing was throughout the years we've had all of these corridor improvement plans, and everybody gets kind of really excited about them at first, and then not so much a couple months later, and then even less so 6 months or a year. And then you get kind of bogged down in how thick they are, and then you start noticing that no matter what corridor is, they all kind of suggest the same thing: slow down the speeds, widen the sidewalks, more public amenity infrastructure, things like that. So, what we've done is, and I'll share this for the next month, is create a checklist so that businesses can kind of self-assess where they're at in terms of um, what the zoning looks like. Would you have restrictions for expansion? Would a better zoning district help you? Do you have an active business association where you work together and staff can provide sample documents on how to incorporate something like that? We're also educating them about corridor improvement authorities and business improvement districts and how that works with those assessments. Um, Parking, street amenities, are the sidewalks wide enough? Is traffic too fast? So we're having them fill these out, or we're going to, and then staff will be able to offer certain services to come in and educate them on, what a proposed better zoning district would look like, or how you would set up a CIA or a bid.
So as a business owner in, let's say, the Gaddy Street District, or, one of our many specific business districts in town, if I want to engage in this conversation, how do I currently do that? You have multiple.
Just contact us at Development Services, and we'll get you that checklist, and you can either fill it out with your group or on your own, or staff can walk you through it, and then we'll take a look and come up with some results and some recommended paths forward. That way we don't have to wait for a formal corridor plan for every business corridor. We can assess where they're at now and the next items they'd like to achieve to improve their districts.
Do we, when you engage with the City of Muskegon's website as a business owner, we have our headings of like kind of how you engage with the city. Is it readily available that these resources are available?
This new one just got finished last week, so that's not on there yet, but it will be. Our development incentives are on our website, so yeah, there's good resources. Sometimes it helps to talk to staff first to help you navigate through that, though.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. I have E 2.3. Anybody else have comments on that one? No. Okay. I did have a thought on Century Club folks who I think, we had some changeover on folks and the usage of that building. Do we know whether the tenants in that building have located other spaces? My initial thought was to suggest some things on 3rd Street, but we've had developments since that don't make that available.
Yeah, they've been working with our development analysts on relocating. Not sure the status on all the businesses.
Sure. Initially, the reason I brought it up is because while we have new development going in on the end of 3rd Street, that was previously a large vacant building, and there was thought of kind of a marketplace potential there, but that's not currently available.
1185 3rd. That's going to be redeveloped.
Right. But that's new information since I wrote this down.
Okay.
Anything on your side? Not there yet? Okay. 2.4. All right. There was mention of a downtown tram. I don't know what that is.
It's a big golf cart.
It's a big golf cart that pulls people around.
When do people get to use it?
Farmer market.
Farmers market, yeah.
Farmers market. Okay, so it's
Yeah.
operating during farmers market hours generally?
Yeah.
Where does it go?
Just around downtown. It's sort of it circulates around downtown. You'll see it go up Western and Clay, usually as far as 3rd Street. I think is as far as I see it, and then up to Terrace. Well, it doesn't go to Terrace; it'll go down Jefferson.
Well, I ask because where could I catch it to go to the farmers market?
Yeah, they would stop and pick you up. So it's
Scheduled somewhere.
no.
Okay.
It just continually runs on Saturdays during busier times. It's a service that Ramos provides.
Okay. All right, and then
Yeah.
I mentioned the folks have asked a lot about kind of culture along the bike trails and being able to have clear signage and outreach as to what the expectation of a user should be, especially with e-bikes and just kind of the culture. So just a conversation there about whether we can engage with especially visitors and residents more about how best to engage on bike trails. And then 2.4 staff scooters. I made a mention about youth, but I'm not sure I can articulate it at the moment. I don't have anything else until E4.2. Anybody have anything? No? Nobody? Okay. Is the checklist for E4.2 in the, is there an entrepreneur portal of some kind? Again, from that kind of business website standpoint. Is there a way that people, new businesses, can get this information?
What type?
Now, so it says create a community engagement portal to address the concerns and needs of local entrepreneurs. Does that already exist?
No. Not beyond our development incentives.
Okay.
So it's not actually a portal, but if you were to go to the website and look at starting a business, you could get a hold of the business analyst, and then either Jocelyn or Isabella would go out and meet with you and go over what services we have, what requirements you have to have, business licenses, if you're doing a special land use, what all those processes are. So we have staff who kind of can come around and help folks through that.
Do we think we need to have this as a goal then to create this portal, or do we think it already exists?
It can be more robust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strengthen it.
Use some additional resources and maybe tell people where to find it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I have E5.2. Anybody have seen? If anybody has something before me, just let me know. I wanted to know if we are a tree city.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, you have to have so many people on staff. I talked to our tree specialist on staff. You have to have so much funding dedicated to it. I think you have to have 2 people on staff or something. The threshold isn't counting the trees or anything like that. It's about providing the resources to plant new trees. And I believe we are that again, right?
We are a tree city.
Yeah.
We've been
annually
for
decades
years.
now.
Yeah.
I thought it lapsed for a minute. I thought Dave told me.
It
several
might.
years
Well,
ago.
I mean, in the 3+ years that I've been
Yeah.
here, we've
Yeah,
gotten it
this was
every
a while
year.
ago.
Okay.
I've
So-
signed it. I've
It's on
signed
the
it every
website.
single year I've been mayor. Garen's probably signed it every single year.
So again, it
you were
says-
mayor.
Yeah.
To become designated by organizations that will bring visibility and economic. So that was one where I wanted to clarify. Like, have we done that? Is it something that we've got it on a sign somewhere? So
We
I
have
was
a
actually
sign.
talking a lot about the estuaries, I believe, in the master plan. I think there might be some potential there with the land swap in the estuary. So
as far as the National River Estuary Program that Grand Valley was looking at, maybe.
yeah,
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we'd like to get a NER,
Yeah.
Yeah.
NER.
National Estuary Research and Reserve.
Okay. And
Is that something that planning can help with then? Perhaps?
what was that?
That planning can help with.
Can
And
planning
get dialed
be
in
involved
with,
in that
with
conversation?
I believe so.
Congressman Skolton's office and GVSU Anniswater Resource Institute about advancing a NER in Muskegon.
Yeah, we could try to set meetings up with the appropriate people at least.
Okay. Again, I know that Grand Valley was involved in that at one point.
Or at the very least have an understanding of what that would entail so that we can have that baked into our planning process and thoughts going forward, because the last thing we want to do is
Do something that
move
prevents it
forward
from-
and now we're precluded from having a NER after the federal government finally says yes, you can have a NER. Because as I understand it, the only thing holding up from us getting a NER is funding. That NOAA has to have additional funding to then create a new NER, but that's not happening. The governor is supportive of a NER here. I understand that Congressman Skolton has advocated for as well. GVSU's been involved, so I think it's just a funding thing. So I think if we understood what like that would entail in terms of like space needed and accommodations, that we just kind of have that
Okay.
at the top of our mind or on our radar.
So my point was, what are the lists or things that award cities for their actions, or what are the designations that we might want to try to achieve? And so National Estuaries is one that we've identified that we can look at, and we'd ask staff to be aware of the requirements for that. We recently completed the Shoreline Trails and Greenways plans. What of that are we now planning to incorporate into our ongoing planning? Have we had that conversation?
We have not really started any concrete conversations At least in the planning department yet on that.
Okay, but it is complete and available,
Yep.
and so I think that that's something that we should, the work's been done of what people are interested in, so I think we should take it into consideration. The city as well has participated in spending that money, so, okay.
It's my understanding that the Muskegon Area Parks and Greenway Coalition is going to be engaging different municipalities on moving from the planning to the implementation phase, and what that looks like.
All I know is it's done, we help pay for it, and so we've got what the answers are.
And actively participate
So
in the
we should,
process,
like,
yeah.
Take a look at it. Okay. Then I don't have anything till T1.2. Anybody have anything before that?
Well, I do want to, because you talked about you just mentioned, oh, that's Muskegon
in the
Lake
east
itself.
still?
No. I'll bring it up then.
Nobody have anything in the
It's
east?
tangential.
Okay. T1.2. I just made a note of whether Park Street, for example, could include a commuter path. It is very wide. That was just a local observation.
I mean, it runs, the south part of it runs right
So
by
it-
the bike path.
Right, so the bike
Yeah.
path, you know,
Yeah.
and then Park Street goes
Yep.
north. And so the question was, can we connect kind of more into the center of the city, potentially along Park Street? Just, again, I
Well,
recognize it's very wide.
We are going to be connecting the Laketon Trail to the Lakeshore Trail up Sanford, so we will have that connection into the city core that way. And then there had been a plan at some point in time, as former Commissioner Spataro informed me, of connecting that part of the Laketon Trail eventually over to the Lakeshore Trail by the Boys and Girls Club, somewhere in that area.
That'd be wonderful.
But I'm not sure on what the actual path is there.
No, and there was issues with properties, including MDOT mountains
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Bridges.
true. Yeah,
and so on and
Just
so
put a
forth.
tunnel straight
Yeah.
through it anyway.
yeah.
Also.
yeah, they got rid of one, the east-west corridor, and they put in that mound of dirt.
Okay, so do we have this detailed? You're still working on the traffic volume and speed, but that doesn't necessarily acknowledge the street design components. So we still have that in process. We were looking at basically places where the street is not necessarily a complete street.
What was the question?
T1.2 is asking folks to create and maintain a detailed inventory of existing street design. And I think the reasoning would be to identify opportunities where it's not a complete street.
I mean, we're constantly evaluating our streets. We are not doing anything new. We did just enter into this contract that is going to produce the speed data, which could help be a factor in how we design our streets moving forward. There's also discussions. I mean, our master plan identifies different types of street types, but it's not exactly part of the ordinance or requirements.
I'm just looking at the goal in front of me, so whether or not we're planning to create a detailed inventory or whether we think that that's not necessary. That's just where we're. T5.2. Anybody else before that?
Well, while we're talking about design streets to save a comment, I'll use the street equitably, putting people first. Getting updates on where we're at, if we've made any progress on reconfiguring Muskegon Parkway, because that was the thing when we set aside the Shoreline Drive road diet, and we're like, we're not moving forward with that. But it was understood that MDOT, so it explained to us that the MDOT required us to finish that study, so we did the phase 2, also at the urging of our residents in terms of you should do it in the middle of the summer. So we did a phase 2 for that, but also to satisfy MDOT's requirement that like we need this data to inform consideration of reconfiguring Muskegon Parkway. And so when we left it and said, okay, we're not doing Shoreline Drive right now, but Muskegon Parkway is a priority and is still important in terms of reconfiguring and narrowing that. And so have we advanced that whatsoever? You don't have to answer right now, but
Yeah,
I'm just
no.
like
Right.
that. I just want to bring that to the forefront of our goals and
Like,
making
are
progress
we
on it.
thinking it's something that has to be 10 years from now, or is it something that we think, you know what, that's possible within a certain space of time? I think that's the question. We'll keep it on the radar.
Point of information, I guess. I have to deal with a matter,
You'd like to?
and
Oh, you need to leave.
yeah,
Okay.
I did explain that we might need to do this in two parts.
yeah. So
And I think I asked everybody but you if they had to leave. So we've gotten through all the E's, and we're on T1.2. So if we can kind of make a note of that I'd like to go through the rest of them at our next meeting. And we hopefully have additional folks present, and that we've already asked staff to address the goals they've put forward and prioritize landscaping, to bring that back to us if you could in April. Back to the agenda.
No public comment.
I just making sure I didn't miss anything before that.
Oh.
Okay, I didn't. So now we would be on general public comment. There is nobody in the audience, so I will go to the phones. 231-724-6721. If you have a comment on anything we've discussed today, or other business for the Planning Commission, you may call in now. I am not seeing any calls coming in.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn, and I will take a second. Anybody?
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, stay here. We'll see you next
No.
time.
Darn it. I don't have 5. Now we're gonna.